Welcome Pudlings, aka Sexy Pancakes. So today we have got a first ride review and it's regarding the Honda CB500F. So just to start with, lovely little bike, really nice aggressive Honda styling, especially with your fairings, your tank and the rear of the bike. With that really notable shaped headlight, almost Hornet-esque, the new Hornet-esque. Obviously this was a previous bike to the new Hornets and utilises a 471cc engine, hence the CB500F. But all in all, definitely in line with Honda's styling. I think that's unmistakably a Honda, anyone would say so. So really happy to have got my hands on this. Cheers, Father Pudling. So I'll just quickly go over the switch gear. I've sort of covered the styling. It's pretty basic, you know, there's a couple of fake inlets here that just add to that styling, and like I said, it's very aggressive and it's got the stock pipe on it, which I think looks rather nice. The bronze engine casing's really nice. So coming to the switch gear, very simple, nice little display on there. You can see you got your time, your rev counter along the top, fuel indicator on the left, which is always nice. No gear indicator on this, so you'll have to learn that. Indications at the top, oil, neutral, you know, your classic indicators, ABS signs up there, and obviously your speedo in the centre. And as you can see by the mileage, this has been a lovely little workhorse. So anyway, let's get on the bike and let's smash out some miles and see how it is. Peace. Now then, homies, we're officially on the bike and I'm just going to throw this out there straight away, talk about first impressions. I am already kind of loving this bike. So I think the first thing I'm going to start with mentioning is one of the reasons I'm really loving this bike is actually the seat height on it. So it's only a 784mm seat height, so ridiculously low in terms of naked bikes or just bikes in general. It's an absolutely wonderful seat height. As you can see, I can completely and comfortably flat foot the bike, which is brilliant. And I mean, this bike actually belongs to my dad, and one of the things my dad struggles with motorbikes is he's got legs on the short side. So I mean, he has just got a new bike, Triumph Tiger 900 GT Low. So you see, even for an adventure bike, he's had to go for the low standard option. Wow, just look at these roads, these are ace. And this bike just handles it beautifully. So because it's got such a low stance, the centre of gravity that you've got and the balance is incredible. It is so low, it is so nimble, it just feels, first impressions, like a fantastic bike to ride. And I mean, it is just awesome. So one of the next things to mention is the engine. So it's a 471cc engine. It's a 4-stroke liquid cooled parallel twin engine, and sometimes parallel twins feel a bit chuggy, they feel a bit but this doesn't. This has really got a wonderful feel to it. And God, for a 500cc, for an A2 compliant bike, the power behind it feels brilliant. In terms of horsepower, it's got around 47 brake horsepower. I think it's exactly 46.9 brake horsepower at around 8,500 RPM, which isn't too bad. It's not massively high revving, but then again, you know, we're not dealing with an inline 4 here that really needs to get up into the rev range. It's a parallel twin. So medium revs, you're getting sort of the full power out of this bike. Probably leaves you wanting a little bit more at the higher revs, but then if you're buying a bike like this, you're probably not going for all-out performance. And in terms of torque, you're actually even lower in the RPM, so I think it puts out about 43 newton meters of torque at 7,000 RPM. So you don't have to rev it all that much to start getting that, you know, the pull. And you can feel it, because I'm in 4th gear now, and when I twist it, I can feel it pulling me up the hill. And rightly so, I suppose. And it is a steep hill, it might not look like it. Come on, cut in the corners. That's not what you want when you're pulling out of a junction, is it? Drop it into neutral. That is one thing with the gearbox though that I will mention. dropping into neutral is a difficult bitch with this. Unless you're pulling out of a junction, then it's like, nah, I'll drop you into neutral, don't you even worry about it. We're 40 on here, Adam, we're 40 on here. Relax. So in terms of the bang for the buck power-wise that you're getting for this 471cc engine, it's pretty good. It is pretty good. To say that a lot of 650s now are sitting at sort of the 60 to 70 brake horsepower mark, this is putting out 47. You're not far behind, especially if you're on an A2 licence. You're not missing out on loads. And it's got the torque. It's got the torque to go with it. Yeah, it's not a blooming Hornet, is it? But could I say that this should be a 500 Hornet? Maybe, because it does feel great. So yeah, in terms of that gearbox, it's a 6-speed gearbox. I believe it's a wet clutch. It feels really nice. It does feel really nice. Now this particular one has been a bit of a workhorse. As I mentioned, it's got 21,786 miles, soon to be a lot more. And it is also a winter worker. My dad commutes to and from work year round on this, much like me on my CB500F. The Flap It. Oh, that's not a good name for a pub. Flap It. Flap It. Flap what? Who knows? Oh. Zest. I need to stop this. And one thing, does it have the power for an overtake? Well, you tell me. Absolutely. So if that's anything that you're bothered about, don't worry about it, mate. Whoa, look at that. Now that's a sweeping bend, lovely. And even through there, that tightened up a little bit much on me, but even through there, tap on that rear brake and it just fell through into the corner and it just seemed to deal with it like it was nothing. On my bike, I'd probably gone a little bit squeaky bum time then, but on this, it just wants to go through the corners. The balance, that's it. The balance on the bike is wonderful because of where you sat on it. It is just, it's not too back heavy, it's not too front nose heavy. It's just not too bad at all. Oh God, he's had an accident. He must have had a curry last night, that cyclist. It's definitely not mud. It's definitely not mud, I swear. Oh, he's going the same way as me. Which way are you going? Oh, it's always nice to know, isn't it, that you're going right. I'm kicking off, but it is like a straight, innit, straight on. Let's slap his booty as we go past. Oh God, yeah, that's a bad curry, that. Must have been something like a jalfrezi. So moving on to the brakes. The brakes on the bike, classic again. Nissin brakes, Honda, it's their babies, it's their brakes, they're going to use them. Front and back, single disc brake on the front, unlike sort of the higher displacement bikes, but then again that is all you need. But quality of brakes, what are we thinking? Fantastic. I really do think they are brilliant brakes on this bike. The rear brake maybe leaves you wanting a little bit more, but that front brake, I mean, we have very, very, very recently bled these brakes, so they are performing really, really nicely. Yeah, they are performing really, really nicely. You've got an adjustable front brake as well, if you've got big hands. Oh, we've got some brethren. The brethren. Alright, buddies. Oh my God, that was a Harley and I got a nod. Don't do it, bitch, don't do it. Lovely little town this, it's called Haworth. Should come here. Well, I have come here. I'm telling you guys, you should come here. This bike is running 41mm telescopic forks. Not upside down ones, this is sort of pre them wanting to go upside down on everything. Decent quality. It's not running showers or anything like that, so I'm not 100% sure as to what they are. But in 21,000 miles, I don't think they've been posing many issues, so they must be pretty good. I just want to circle back to this engine right quick, and just, I can't ignore this engine's reliability. To say it's got 22,000 miles on it and it is still going like it first did is pretty amazing, to be fair. But I think it is the classic. Is that what you're going to get with a Honda? The reliability? I think it is. I genuinely think it is. And not only does it come with the reliability of the engine, but it also comes with a pretty good fuel efficient, economical engine. On average, you're looking at around 80 MPG on one of these, and for what it is, I think 80 MPG is very respectable. Tyre wise, I can't comment on the stock tyres, but I can imagine most of the CB500Fs now from this year are probably not going to be running the stock tyres anymore. But I'll chuck up on screen the tyre size and types just so that you've got that info in case you were wondering. But the tyres it's currently running are pretty good, pretty grippy. Like I said, I've just been around that corner and the tyres didn't feel like they wanted to give in the slightest, and we don't feel much slip from this thing. So in terms of tyres, I think it's a pretty solid one. But then again, everyone's got their own sort of preference with tyres. So when it comes to tyres, I'd probably just say you put on the bike what you want to put on the bike. You probably know better than me, but it is one of the parts of biking that I am going to learn. So it also has a 15.5 litre tank, which is pretty good, and when that tank is full, the wet weight of the bike is around 190 kilos, so not the worst by any stretch. And those 190 kilos wet really does mean that with the low centre of gravity that this bike has, plus the low weight, it's one of the most manageable step-up bikes, I think, especially for an A2. Obviously, if you're a little bit like me and you lean more towards a sportier fared version, you've got the CBR500R, which is the same chassis, the same engine, but just that fully fared version. I'll throw it up on screen. It also, if you're more of an adventure type rider, you've got the CB500X, which again runs that same setup, same chassis, same engine. So there's sort of a little bit of something for everyone if that's what you're after. And I'll be honest, if I was an A2 rider, this probably would be what I was after. I think I'll do another video just going into that a little bit. Like I said, in terms of a commuter as well, this really does take the cake, because that lightweight means it is very nimble. The fact that it is a very nimble bike means that traffic, filtering, all these things, you can take advantage of them to your heart's content, because it can fit through those gaps. It can just take up the slack when filtering. Slow moving, clutch control, it does it fantastically. You know, I really like this bike. I really like this bike. And if the Hornet is anything like this, but then with just that little bit of extra power, I think that, you know, next bike maybe, that's how much I like this. It's leaning towards that. It's just brilliant. And you know what? It is just brilliant fun as well. And you ask, is a 500 good enough to tick a pillion? Absolutely. If you're the size of the pillion seat on this, brilliant. It's a nice, big, comfortable seat. Well, I say comfortable, it's a little bit firm. I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit firm. And it's also stepped up from the main seat. It's great for a pillion because that means they can see over your head. And you know what else it's great for? When you accelerate, there's a little bit of an edge. So if you find yourself slipping back on the bike, you'll just sit right back into that. And it's actually quite a comfortable little edge to allow your ass to sit into. So there's no complaints there. Now, I've not ridden many bikes in my time really, and I have ridden mainly Hondas. Does this live up to Honda? Can this be a bike Honda are proud of? Oh my god, yes. Are you going to be the envy of your mates with this bike? Yes, because you know what, it's a 500, but you can't tell. You could easily mistake this for a 750, an 800, maybe not 1,000, because they have somewhat of a chunk to them, don't they? Chunky. But this thing, 750 easy. Go on, we'll give it that. Big bike feel, that's what you want, innit? And is the styling going to be the envy of your friends? I think so. I think it's a pretty good looking bike, if I'm honest. I swear I'm not sponsored by Honda yet. It's also got a very basic switch gear. That it doesn't have all the extra tech bits. I think it's got ABS and that's sort of it. There's no auto blipper, there's no quick shifter. It doesn't come with things like heated grips. My dad has got some Oxford heated grips, but of course that's an aftermarket part. But she's fairly basic, but then she does the basics of what you need. And in terms of cost of the bike, of course you can't buy these new now. I mean, you can buy the new 500F, which I'm not 100% sure on the price, and second hand, you know, this is a 2015 bike, is this one, and I think my dad paid around 3,000 for it. So 3,000 for this, with the mileage it had on at the time, I don't think there's anyone going to be complaining about that. I really don't. And especially if you're using it as, you know, an all-year commuter or a winter hack or something like that. One, you don't want all the technology on it, do you? Let's be fair, because it's just more things to go wrong when you're going to be basically putting it through all the conditions under the sun and clouds and rain and whatnot. It's more to go wrong. It's more for the weather to affect, whereas just having a twist and go with a couple of gears, it's all a commuter needs to be. So in terms of an all-round bike, I think I'd probably give this a solid 8 out of 10. A solid 8 out of 10. But if we're talking just a commuter bike, it's a 10. It's a 10 out of 10. The feel of the bike is great, the balance of the bike, the engine power, the braking, the gearing, the styling, the fuel economy. Please argue in the comments if you've ridden one of these or you've owned one of these and you don't agree with me. Please let me know why, because I am so intrigued to see if people have negatives about this bike, because I just think it is so good. I think she's an absolute beauty. If you're looking at one of these, even a newer one, it's only going to be better than this one, and I absolutely adore this. I would hands down say go and buy one. I know there are good competitors, but personally, this wins it. This wins it for me. I mean, I've not ridden the others, but personally, I don't see how it can get better. For the size of bike that it is, this is a really respectable choice. So let me know if you go out and grab one of these and tell me what you think of it. If I had the money, I might actually buy it off my dad. Anyway, thanks for watching this review, guys. Let me know if there's anything I can do better, or if there's things that I'm doing right that you like. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, you gorgeous little pudlings. And please, remain sexy. See ya.